whereby we get to interact with the youth in various ways.
Let's stop judging people according to their tribes.
We present to you fresh perspectives, exciting conversations, engaging debates, Bible trivia discussions, showcasing of talents such as singing, dancing, art, and so much more from guests who keep it real and authentic.
Sasa wewe, nitajuaje hautanihat? It's true that human nature covers us,
So buckle up because this season is about to be epic with me, your one and only host, Susan Bulemi. Keep it locked right here on the Family Faith Show every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. only on Capuchin TV. Well, hello and a very good afternoon to you, our dear viewer of Capuchin TV, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Family Faith Show with me, your host, Susan Bulemi. So on today's show, we'll be diving into cultural diversity. We get to understand what we mean by this, and we get to interact with various youth from different cultural backgrounds, and we get to understand what makes us different, but yet brings us together as the young people today. And I'm going to now allow my guests who have joined me today to shed more light on today's conversation. I'm going to allow them introduce themselves to you, our dear viewer, and we'll begin with you.
Hello everyone, my name is Paula Sitawa-Daraja. I'm a youth moderator for St. Peter's Parish Rai. I'm a student and I'm a youth for youth advocate, and I do a lot more, but I can't mention all of it here. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, Sitawa. Thank you for being part of today's panel. Next.
My name is Nampija Susan. I am a student in my first year doing journalism at the University of Kuba, Uganda.
Okay, you're welcome, Susan. Welcome, Sitawa. And I have just told our viewers today that we're talking about cultural diversity. And maybe both of you could first of all explain to our viewers today what you mean by cultural diversity.
In my understanding, cultural diversity means respecting the different background, the different languages, and different places where everybody comes from, and we are growing together.
Okay. How about you, Susan?
In my opinion, culture diversity, this could just simply be our different backgrounds that are influenced by our tribes, our origins. Yes, basically that's it.
Okay, and both of you have mentioned about cultural background, and maybe you could just give us a bit, just explain to our viewers a bit about your cultural background or how you grew up.
First of all, I would like to clarify that I'm Kenyan. Mm-hmm. Most people think I'm Sudanese, I don't know why, but I am Kenyan. Mm-hmm. I am half Luya and half Kalenjin, and I'm very proud of my cultural background. Mm-hmm. Yes.
How about you, Susan?
I'm Ugandan. Mm-hmm. I'm a Muganda from the central part of Uganda. We have so many cultures, so many tribes, but I belong to the central part where we speak Luganda majorly. So I'm a Muganda, I guess.
Okay, our dear viewers, you can see we are now crossing borders, not only in Kenya, but we now have a guest who's from Uganda, and we hope in the future we'll get more from different parts of the world. And now that you've mentioned where you people come from, your background and everything, maybe you can just tell us what is one thing about your culture that you really appreciate the most and you'd like people out there to understand. Sitawa, you could go first.
I'll speak for both Luya and Kalenjin.
Okay.
I appreciate the Luyas really embrace the traditions. Especially, I love the circumcision tradition, the way they dance, the way they come together as family to dance, to celebrate the boys who have been circumcised. I love that tradition so much. And same to my Kalenjin side. I think it's a Kenyan thing to appreciate boys who have been circumcised here.
Okay, that is quite interesting. Yeah. How about you, Susan?
Well, in my culture, one thing I've actually taken time to recognize ever since I've been a toddler was bride price. whereby the family of the man gets to bring a lot of things in exchange for the wife. Like I always didn't know what it meant ever since I was a child, and I would be like, why are there so many things brought at home by a woman or something? And it's only when I grew older that I understood its culture.
Oh, okay. And maybe how do you think cultural diversity could help enrich the experiences that we young people go through, and especially because we understand that a lot of young people don't really know a lot about their culture. So if people get to learn their culture and also other people's culture, how do you think it will enrich how the young people act and behave with other people today?
I think it is necessary to interact with other people's cultures because it builds harmony, it builds peace. We're able to understand where each and every one of us comes from. We're able to understand that each and every one of us is raised differently. And with that, we're able to understand different perspectives of other people. Yeah.
How about you, Susan?
In my opinion, I think culture diversity really does help the young generation in a way that getting to know how other cultures run their lives, how they move on about things, helps them get to widen the way they think and how they react towards different things. For instance, in some cultures where girls aren't allowed to sleep with men not until they are married, others give bride price, others do circumcision. Like there is a lot from different cultures that people get to learn, and even if you don't want to learn, at times the intermarriages, a lot of things get to teach us different cultures.
Okay, and just on the same point that you've mentioned about the different things that people are expected to do because of their culture, what are maybe some of the misconceptions or stereotypes that are there in your culture that you feel like maybe people could do away with or people would understand better?
In my culture, I can't say I know a lot of cultural practices that have to be done away with because I'm not really so good with it. But like there are some cultures where girls were circumcised, if you've heard of it. So at times people would feel like they're pressurized even when they don't want to do it, especially the young women, and they'll feel like they're neglected by society because they're going through fear and no one really cares about it. So people tend, because it's a cultural practice and it has always been happening, they would be forced to do it. And where the misconception comes in is that you don't feel like you're part of the society when you don't. At times you'll be neglected simply because you fail to do something that threatens your health, your life, and at times doesn't make you feel comfortable in societies where you go and intermarry.
And it's actually sad. You've mentioned about girls being circumcised, and it's actually sad that we see the FGM cases are still even in the rise, even in our country here in Kenya. And we just hope people will manage to do away with that and get more education and literacy on that, right? Okay, Sitawa, you can go next.
What I'd say is the stereotype we're facing, particularly for the Luya culture, is that the Luyas are traditionalists, which is not true. I believe you can keep in touch with your traditions and also keep in touch with the real world. So yes, Luyas are not traditionalists. Okay,
and I'd like to ask you a question because I also have a bit of knowledge in the Luya culture. There's this tradition that they practice whereby you're told the women are not supposed to eat some part of the chicken. I don't know. Do you think it's something that should still be there, or they should do away with it?
I have seen repercussions. Let me say I've seen repercussions for people who have eaten that specific part of the chicken. So I think it will still remain.
Okay, and also I also think that it should also remain for the sake of originality. You know, you should have that identity that this is what we do in our culture. So. Okay. And maybe what I also wanted to ask, what challenges do you think the young people especially are facing when they are trying to identify with their different cultures? Because you get a lot of people face maybe things like peer pressure or even the negativity online, whereby when you tell people, oh, I'm from this cultural background, what challenges do you think people are facing?
I think most of our generation have been brought up in town.
Yeah.
Wanaitwa Bontao.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're out of touch with their cultural backgrounds, and it becomes hard for them to integrate with that because they don't know how to approach it. And also another thing is that there's peer pressure, as you have said.
Yeah.
People feel like knowing that their their language from their ethnicity.
Yeah.
It is not. It's not cool.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. It is actually very cool to know where you come from and to understand where you come from. So what we can do is we try as much as possible to go back to our roots and understand where we come from, because this culture will erode and you won't have anything to show when that time comes, the future comes. Yeah.
Susan?
Repeat the question.
Oh, I had asked her, what do you think are the challenges that the young people are facing when trying to identify in your culture? Like she had mentioned about peer pressure. People have the pressure of, I don't want people to know I come from this cultural background. Maybe what are the challenges? Yeah.
I think majorly because of the stereotypes that people have towards different cultures. Like, I'm sorry, where I come from, there is a tribe called the Basoga. I think many of you may not know. It is alleged that they understand at 45, but they're not all that sensible. And it has been something that has been carried on all over 2 generations. So when I was in school, all my friends who came from that tribe really hated it. And they would make sure they don't speak the language or pronounce their names out loud, because at times the names we have, our other names, back where I come from, show where you're from. So you say your name and someone is like, oh, so you're Msoga, you're the kind of person who understands at 45. So someone cannot be proud of where they come from, of their language, because they know that is what people think about it. Yes, so basically.
Okay. And still on the same point, I'd like to ask, and Sita, you could go first, because maybe I'd like to use the example of, in our country, Kenya, when you're speaking about cultural backgrounds, they have different ethnic groups or tribes, if I would call it. Do you think these cultural beliefs and everything, do you think it's somehow leading to us having this issue of tribalism in the country?
I would say yes. And not even stemming from our generation.
Okay.
It's stemming back from the different generations. Again, you go back to the stereotypes. A certain culture is being stereotyped because of what they do, and for that reason it's causing tribalism. They will say that a certain culture does this and another culture does this, now it causes tribalism. Yeah.
Susan, are there such issues back home in Uganda?
Of course, when it comes to anything concerning tribe, there is. Because as much as even in our own countries, everybody is Kenyan, everybody is Ugandan. Your tribe differentiates you from the other person. So national-wise, you'll all be Ugandans, you'll all be Kenyans, you'll all be Tanzanians. But when we start stratifying and different people in their tribes and in their cultures, that's where the difference comes in. So someone cannot completely state the word unity or togetherness or same people when it comes to tradition, to culture, despite belonging to the same country.
And I would also like to ask, there are cases whereby when maybe you're in a group and you tell someone, I come from this cultural background, or maybe I come from this tribe or this ethnic group, sometimes the way the person might take it, you might feel maybe a bit disrespected, or maybe they kind of misunderstood you. Like, there's that feeling you might get when you communicate with someone, this is where I come from. How do you manage to handle that?
Personally, I am very proud of where I come from, and I will urge my fellow youth and everyone else, you should be proud of where you come from, because you can't change where you come from. How would you would manage such? Just try and positively show those people what your culture is about. life is a learning experience. So when you teach someone and someone is open-minded, they can learn, and we're all able to embrace each other. Yeah.
How about you, Susan? How do you handle that?
Personally, I'm rarely offended,
Okay.
especially when it comes to people my age. Like I have this kind of attitude or personality whereby something you'd say about who I am or where I come from would not offend me unless you really matter. So if you had something to say about me, because those kind of mentalities they had, and they're like, what's your tribe? This is my tribe. Those tribes are known for this. You know, you guys may not have it here, but we do at home. Every tribe you mention has issues, regardless of who it. So there is no perfect tribe. So every time they're like, what's your tribe again? I'm like, oh, I'm a Muganda. Oh, Bagandas are known for being hypocrites. I'm like, it's true. Sometimes you can't even eat you. Like, it's something that really bothers me. Like, you deal away with it simply because you can't change people's mentality about it. So if I say that I'm a Muganda and you feel like, yes, those people are hypocrites, I'm like, and be careful, I may be plotting right now. Like, be free about who you are and what you feel about it, because you can't change it. That is someone's mentality. Deal with it.
And you said it happens in your country. It's actually also here, not only at your place. Actually, even here in Kenya, we have such cases whereby you mentioned a certain tribe and you're told, oh, this tribe, they are witches, or this tribe, they are... So I think it's just something that is maybe in a lot of African countries, but it just depends on how we handle it, right? And I would also like to ask, because times are changing, we are living in a modern world. How do you think the young people can manage to balance managing to live in their cultural, maybe traditional values that they've been taught, and also live in the modern world?
I think we have schools, we have churches, we have other institutions where we meet people of different cultures. So by incorporating forums or programs that teach us about different cultures, we're able to keep people in the know-how of different cultures, and we're able to grow people's knowledge in these different cultures.
Susan?
In my opinion, it may be a little bit hard to balance your modern life and your cultural life, where you come from, what's happening currently. So at times, when someone gets time and it's like, right now I'm going to do something that's not cultural, or something that has been brought up eventually. So when I'm not going to say ancestors, sorry. when our grandparents, when our elders, when our aunties, our uncles, who experienced these cultural issues earlier than we did, come and be like, you know what, we're having a culture function, do this and make sure you do this and this. Now you know it's time for culture. So regardless of how you're dressing, regardless of the mentality you have in you, and they're like, now dress up, like you even barely know what to do. But you know it's time for culture because you belong there. So there is no way you would say no or what. So those times that we have functions that involve culture in them, they bring us closer to our culture, because it's literally the only time in this modern world where young people get a chance to go back to their culture, because the world is becoming busier.
Okay, nice. And you mentioned something about the church, and I would like to ask, how do you think the church is also influencing culture? And because, okay, when we look at a long time ago, before we had the civilization and everything, people used to believe in their own gods and everything. So how do you think, apart from that, how do you think the church is influencing how we embrace our cultural background?
Okay. In the church we have, of course, we have everyone. We have different tribes there, we have different races there. So we usually have programs that bring these people together with cultural programs for the youth. As you know, we have cultural days, we have cultural performances. We also have songs that we learn differently, and we're able to interact with people's cultures. So I think with that, we're able to, enrich each other.
Susan, how does it work in your case?
Well, in my case, when it comes to church and culture, of course, these are two different realms. We're looking at this in a spiritual kind of view. what does the church say about our culture? And I'm not going to necessarily say that everything the church says about our culture is positive.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say it's wrong in that way, all right?
Yeah.
Because if you've ever heard of these cultural practices long ago, before they brought this kind of missionaries and what, you know that what our ancestors used to worship as God.
Yeah.
So basically the church came and preached to us about the fact that there is just one God and not to believe in ancestors. And at times our culture may feel like it's offensive to them. But now that things are changing, we don't have to be in conflicting loyalties between the church and our culture, because at times we'll always dress that way. We'll be proud of it. We'll say positive things about our culture, but it doesn't mean that we should be stuck in the spiritual realm of it, because things will change. If someone brought something like deliverance, something like change, and those explorers, missionaries, then why not? If it's believed that it's right and it's what is right, of course we have to do away with worshipping so many ancestral gods and stuff, but it doesn't mean that we have given up on our culture. Can dress up the way they want, we can always, because that is who we are, but we don't have to believe in what they used to believe in.
Okay, that is quite an important message. And as we began the show, both of you mentioned the different cultural backgrounds that you come from. So I would like to ask, have you interacted with people from other cultures? And if yes, what's one thing about their culture that you really loved the most?
I would say yes. If I was to point out, I would say the Luo culture. I love the Luo culture so much. In my next life, I would like to be born a Luo. I love the music, the art, the Nyatiti specifically. There's an artist that I very much reason with. I won't say his name, but yeah, I love the Luo music and art culture. Yes.
Okay, that's nice. How about you, Susan?
I've interacted with so many cultures. However, personally, I'm not a Muchiga, but I've watched those people traditionally dance. It's like they wouldn't miss it for the world. They would dance like there is no tomorrow, with vigor, with energy, and something that doesn't really, okay, in our country they do traditional dances too, but you should see these people dance. It's like they would sweat for it. And I would always love something like that. And I've also loved the way they dress, their cultural outfits. I have been in functions whereby our aunties are dressing up for functions in our culture themed. Like, of course, if you watch someone dress up in our culture, it would take ages. Of course, there is something they put inside that is called the chikoi. You people may not know it. But they're like, it's a lot in there. So by the time someone comes out smartly dressed and presented as a Muganda, it's been a war in there. And like some cultures whereby they would be like something called omuchenyelo. I've had it in some culture. And it's something simpler to wear. The point is not how simple it is, but how it looks. I like it.
Okay. I think maybe next time we should have you here and you could come with one of the outfits so we can also understand. But I would also like to say that personally, I would agree with you. I also like the Luo culture and the way they perform their music and everything. But I also like the Kikuyu culture, especially during times when they have there's something in our country that they call rorashio. Is when they are paying the dowry, or it's the traditional wedding. I'm not really sure, the traditional wedding. And their songs and how they dance and also their outfits, they're actually quite nice. So our dear viewer, you can also engage with us and also tell us which culture you've engaged with and what is it that you love the most about them. And moving forward, I would like to ask you, how do you think, because we are young people, and we as young people, we like learning a lot, especially things that we are not aware of or we don't have a lot of knowledge about, and we're just talking about what we appreciate about other people's culture. What do you think we as the young people can do, or what movement can we have so that we can learn more about other people's culture? Maybe can we have trends online or something?
We can have trends online, as you've said. nowadays everyone is on social media.
Yeah.
And I think we can use it as a tool for teaching people about different cultures. We can have apps, we can have challenges, we can have even online sessions where we teach people about different cultures. And also we can make it fun. We can have events. Yeah, I'm a very big fan of going to events. So we can have events where we showcase different cultures and so that we can learn and appreciate each other. Yeah.
Susan, what do you think we can do?
I think, of course, just like she mentioned, social media would be one way, and the other way could be socializing with people from different cultures. Like we do away with the bias and the mentality we have that other people said about them. Engage with them, ask them how they do it, feel interested, because it will be different, so it will be new to you to learn. Like for instance, last semester we had a culture gala at my university. Like there are some cultures I even didn't know existed. For the first time, I remember I went home at 11. I usually went way earlier, but I was like, I'm not leaving. What culture is that? I want to know, because they had their local foods, dances, dressing up, their local songs, folk songs, and what a lot. So I figured there are so many cultures that I've never even heard about, how they were dressing, the foods they were eating, like, because it was a competition between different tribes. And I was like, this also exists as well. Like, I'm not going home until I find out what culture is that, what culture dresses like that, what are they even speaking. It was really interesting. So socializing, getting engaged, gets us exposed.
So basically, socializing and the internet will play a huge role in that, right? And I think that will attract a lot of young people, because we young people are always in our phones. So I think that will help a lot. And before we maybe conclude, I think it will be unfair if our viewers today don't get to hear from you people in terms of your culture. What is your, I don't know if staple, I should say staple food, or maybe what food is well known for your culture?
I would say for the Luya culture, it's ugali and chicken, ubusuma, and ingoho. For the Kalenjin culture, we have a special milk called musik, and traditional vegetables. Yes.
How about you, Susan?
For the Baganda culture, we have a local food called matoke. I'm laughing because someone told me they don't. Like, it's locally prepared. It's good to most people.
I love it.
Well, if you use, maybe, and if you may like it, you may not like it, but it's their traditional food. Sometimes they have something called luombo, whereby, if you know banana leaves, they kind of burn them and then they put in meat, like it's cooked in a leaf, literally. I don't even know how it's done, but it tastes really good. And to them, or to us, it is culture. So I've always, ever since I was a crib, I've always known that, and I can't change it. But that's what I feel.
And actually, you mentioned matoke. We also have a community here in our country whereby their traditional food is matoke, the kisi. I know they relate. So maybe as we conclude, any message you have to the young people, especially to the young people who feel like they have disconnected from their cultural background, what do you have to say to them?
We're the new generation. We're going to be the new parents soon, and what will our kids learn if we don't know about our culture? So we need to go back to our roots and learn something about our culture, so that we cannot corrode our culture. Thank you.
Susan?
What I want to say is that who we are is who we are. We can't change who we are. So it's okay to be Kuyu, it's okay to be Luo, it's okay to be Muganda, it's okay to be literally anything that you actually are. Like, don't feel discouraged, don't feel so low about who you are, because it's who you are. Like, be proud of it, because none of the people who criticize it are any better. They're all tribes. Like, be who you are so that you can teach it to the other people who are just like you.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much for that. And before I conclude, I feel like I asked about the food, but there's also something that I didn't ask. Maybe you can tell our viewers how you greet. I think that is the simplest thing they will understand. How do you greet in your language?
We say Murembe, Murembe Ribukhana for the Liga culture. For the Kalenjin culture, we say Chamgi.
Oh.
Yeah, and the answer is missing.
Oh, so when you say Chamgi, I say missing?
Yes.
Okay. Susan?
In the Baganda culture, we basically greet because some people slang it and like mwasibye mutya no, but the actual kind of greeting, people would be like ela deba sebo ne banyabo, literally to mean how has been your day, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, that is basically it.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here today, for being on our panel today, and I believe our viewers have learned a lot from whatever the both of you have shared with them. And like I said earlier, we would want to have Susan back again so she can show us their outfit and maybe also other things that maybe we've not discussed on today's show. And our dear viewer, that was all from us here on Formally Face Show. I have been your host, Susan Bulemi. See you next week, same time, same place, and be blessed. Well, hello to you, our dear viewers of Capuchin TV, and welcome to the Formally Faith Show, whereby we get to interact with the youth in various ways.
Let's stop judging people according to their tribes.
We present to you fresh perspectives, exciting conversations, engaging debates, Bible trivia discussions, showcasing of talents such as singing, dancing, art, and so much more from guests who keep it real and authentic.
Sasa wewe, nitajuaje hautani heart? Intrude human nature, capsules,
So buckle up because this season is about to be epic with me, your one and only host, Susan Bulemi. Keep it locked right here on the Formally Faith Show every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. only on Capuchin TV.
This June, the biggest club World ever held is here. The 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. Recharge your subscription on your current bouquet for 2 months and get upgraded free to the next high bouquet for 60 days. A competition across the continent. 30 action-packed days of top-notch football from 32 best club teams from around the world.
The pressure coming down! Jesus. Oh, it's magnificent!
Recharge your subscription today to never miss a moment of a competition like never before. On the move, download StarTimes on and watch every goal, every moment, anytime, anywhere. StarTimes Sports. Beyond passion. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
My names are Edwin Mugai Wamae. I'm constant attender of Mater Misericordia for the last 30 years or so. Reasons being costs, vis-a-vis the services and the personnel. I find it very competitive, and also the doctors who attend to me are knowledgeable in so many problems that I suffer from.
We have a wide range of inpatient and outpatient services, including accidents and emergencies, offering services for both children and adults.
Very beautiful amber parking. I do not think we have many hospitals to compare with their services in this country. Mata is the best place to go.
Mata Misericordia Hospital. You matter to us.
Feeling unwell, seeking expert medical care that prioritizes both your health and well-being? Welcome to St. Mary's Mission Hospital, Langata, where compassionate care meets cutting-edge medicine. At St. Mary's, we believe in providing holistic healthcare. Our dedicated team of healthcare professionals is committed to delivering personalized care to each and every patient. Nestled in the heart of Langata, our hospital offers a peaceful and healing environment for patients to recover and thrive.
We have masses every day, weekdays at 6:30 a.m. in the morning and also in the evening at 6:30 p.m.
Your health is our top priority. Experience the difference with compassionate care you can trust. Whether you're in need of routine medical care, specialized treatment, or emergency services, St. Mary's Mission Hospital, Langata is here for you. We offer a comprehensive range of services including outpatient, inpatient services, laboratory services, comprehensive care clinic, MCH and maternity, ophthalmology, pharmacy services, radiology and sonography, dental services, pediatrics, physiotherapy, ICU and HDU services, dialysis.
Here we do dialysis for kidney failed patients, and we do it from Monday through Saturday. We welcome you all. We accept all insurances and cash.
Specialist clinics and CT scan services. Experience your health difference with us. Visit us at Langata or our branches in Nairobi at Cardinal OTUNGA PLAZA and in Rift Valley, Elementaita, Nakuru County. For more information, contact us at 0797 972 794 or 0769 781 880 or 0717 305 204 or email us at info@stmarysmissionhospital.co.ke. St. Mary's Mission Hospital, Langata. Compassionate in healthcare.
The Catholic Church speaks. So, good morning, everybody. I'm Archbishop Philip Anyolo of the Archdiocese of Nairobi, and on my right, far right, is Bishop David Kamau, the auxiliary, and on the left, we have Bishop Simon Kamamoy, also the auxiliary. Together with us, we have Father Victor, who is in charge of the youth activities within the Archdiocese of Nairobi. We are saddened by the instances that happened yesterday in the city of Nairobi during the protests against the killing of Albert Ojwang. We are especially saddened by two things. One, the point-blank shooting of a non-violent citizen who seemed to be just an innocent Kenyan in the city. Two, the free operation of groups of people, goons, with the poles robbing and beating up citizens, destroying properties and businesses in the eyes and without interference by security agencies. We encourage all Kenyans to remain calm, and especially our young people, in the face of the current sufferings, and to be responsible in their responses to the social injustices in the country. Hope in God does not disappoint us, and so let us continue to be guided by the Spirit of God, like Christ Jesus, in the face of suffering for what is good and right. We are calling on all Catholics in our Archdiocese of Nairobi and beyond to pray the Rosary, a marathon of rosaries for the next 3 days for the following intentions. Number 1, respect of human life and dignity. Number 2, for the law and order in Nairobi City and in the country. Number 3, to pray for those who have lost their lives and their families, and even for those who have lost their livelihoods. Number 4, to pray for our leaders, that God may touch their hearts and give them wisdom to realize the havoc they are causing to the country. On Sunday, which is the feast of the Corpus Christi in the Catholic faith, and the following days, we request priests to celebrate masses with the above intentions and continue to invoke God's mercy upon our country. We shall make further information and communications later on. May God bless you. Thank you very much.
The Catholic Church speaks.
For the sake of a sorrowful passion, have mercy on us and on the whole world.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.